You know, Jenna, this coffee is really growing on me. Hey, what's going on? Meg here from Get in the Lab. And in this video, I was requested to make how do you interview? How do you interview better, or how do you conduct an interview? Let me first just say that I am no expert on interviewing. Okay, there's way more better people qualified to do an interview. However, I do have a style to how I like to do interviews, and that is very, very off the cuff, very raw. I like to get very emotional if I can. A lot of times it's hard to find a guest who will go there and do that with me. It's hard to find a guest who is as free with their and confident with their own content and their own self to be on video. And so that's what I really want to do with interviews, but I think as the interviewer, it's your job to go out and find and seek those people out. And I was thinking to myself, like, you know, Get in the Lab season 5 is going to be all about interviews, and it's up to me to find people who would bring value to the show and who I could vibe with. And that was kind of the main ingredient as to who I was going to ask to be on the show. I was like, hey, we got to vibe together. It doesn't matter how much money you're making, if your business was a success or a failure. If it was a failure, I think that would even be more interesting, and maybe you're doing something else. But we got to vibe, you know, and I think it's very important to, you know, pull out that trump card. It doesn't matter what kind of camera you have or what kind of audio you have. Well, audio is very important, but it doesn't matter the brand or the fanciness or everything. If those things are decent, which is, it's super easy to have decent equipment nowadays, just off of your, you know, off of your iPhone or whatever. The delivery of the content is what really matters, right? The delivery, that's your trump card. Here's kind of what I do, okay? I'll break it down for you. There's very little research involved. I like to, you know, when somebody schedules an interview with me, or when I schedule an interview with somebody else, I do very little research until the day of. Usually I have time, about an hour or so before the interview, and I'll just do a little bit of research, just kind of find out, get some context as to who I'm talking to, what kind of person they are, and then, you know, how far I can go as far as to like cussing in the interview. Or
is it based on passion because you're going to be writing this stuff, or is it just based on research?
Really being myself, or do I have to be kind of prim and proper? I still do that thing where I kind of read who's on the other end of me, and what kind of person do I need to be to make them feel most comfortable. I try to do that, and I think that's just the people pleaser in me. I try to ground my voice as much as I can. So the first interviews, like I told you guys many times before, that it used to be very high, like this. Hi, how you going? You know, and it's very feminine. That's a very like kind of nervous part of me. It comes out. There's a quiver in my voice. It always comes out when I speak. But actually my voice is like this. It's kind of grounded. It's a little deeper than if you were to meet me for the first time. It's very high because I'm either nervous, or I'm trying to impress, or some other bullshit answer, but this is my voice right here. And so I try to ground myself. That's very important, I think, in an interview, and be very diligent about being me. And I think that's really important, if, you know, for an interviewer, not to just, you know, placate to the guest. That's like an entertainment. What was that show, E.T., Entertainment Tonight? I hate how they're so plastic, and whenever they ask questions, it's like, oh, it's so glamorous and shit. It's like bullshit, you know what I mean? So I try to be really real with it. I like that approach, but that's just how I do it, you know. And for those of you who want to do more interviews, I think writing down questions ahead of time is a great idea. I often do this. I'll give myself 5 to 6 bullet points of what I want to ask, and they won't be too convoluted, and I'll read them over before the interview, so there would be this time where I try to read the questions that I wrote down and then try to ask them during the interview, and it would make me not listen to what was going on and not be present in the interview, which is always a problem. And so I think being an interviewer, and other interviewers have said this a lot, which is in order to be a good interviewer, you need to be a good listener. So if you can be a good listener, then I think that you've really are on the right track, because if you can listen and be present and react in a humanly way and react in the smart way towards those, whatever it is you're listening to, that's going to make the conversation a whole lot more interesting and flow a lot more, versus you just kind of reading from a script, which I've done that too. So like, you're just not there. If you have a script and you're looking at questions on the side, there's a part of you that just is shut off because you're reading. That's what I would do. That's kind of my breakdown. So to sum up, I do a little bit of research an hour before the interview. I like to keep it really candid. I try to be as EQ, as emotionally intelligent as I can about my guest, and seeing how far I can go as far as to being my real self. Obviously, when you're on camera, I say keep it real, but there's just parts of you that you can't share or you can't be, because out of respect for your audience and out of respect for your guest, right? So I could still be me and still have a 90-year-old guest and feel very good about that, feeling very comfortable that I'm still me, but I probably wouldn't be cursing as much, right? Unless I get the feeling that I can, you know? So it's a kind of very emotionally intelligent sort of thing where you have to be on. That frequency has to be on, where you can read that other person, you can listen, you can take in what's happening in that situation and give it back, you know, and just to keep this ball kind of rolling. And it is a skill. It's such a skill to do that. And the more that I do it, I find that I'm better in conversation, I'm better at making friends, I'm better at my people skills, which were all shit before. So I think interviewing and doing an interview show can really just help you on a personal level, you know, on your personal, you know, personality skills, on your people skills, all those skills that are really, really important in life. They can really help you. That's what I would say about interviewing. Not much to it for me on my side, but I'm glad you guys asked that question because I think it's a good topic. Good things, and shout out to James for asking that question, and I'll see you in that next video. Leave this video like if you did enjoy it. I have a bunch of other videos related to business stuff in that playlist listed below, and I'll see you next time here in the lab. Peace out.